Hello, Feasters. You're listening to The Sporting Feast with Scobes and Kingy. We are previewing the action for the weekend beginning Friday the 19th of March, and this week it is AFL go time. I'm Brendan Scobell, Richard King's my co-host. Kingy, how's your week been?
Good, Scobes. How are you, mate?
I'm well.
Hello, Feasters. Hope everyone's had a good week. It's Thursday, which means Richmond v Carlton, Melbourne v Parramatta. So it's the start of the weekend, essentially. It's always nice now when you get to Thursday, you've got something to look forward to. Sport on a Thursday night. So I am very keen.
It's exciting. We won't tip those games because by the time the Feasters get into this, we should say we won't preview those games. But let's just move into the headlines, Richard. We've got a big show ahead of us. Firstly, NFL free agency. We're huge NFL fans here at the Sporting Feast, and there has been some movement amongst the players. The Patriots, the big players, side.
This is why I wanted to put this in there. As a fan of the Patriots, and let's just talk about as a fan of a team where they have made massive moves in the off-season. How does that make you feel as a fan?
Love it. Absolutely love it because we were irrelevant last year. Still managed to sneak 7 games. They've signed the 2 top tight ends on the market. They also got Aguilar from...
Nelson?
Yeah, Nelson from...
Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, previously an Eagles man. Synonymous with dropping the pill, but he had a good season last year. And they've stiffened up the defence with Van Nooy returning and signing Matthew Judon. So they've got players coming back from who opted out for COVID. So Patriots in for a big year. Still question mark around quarterback Cam Newton. Can he get it done? But quarterbacks in their second year always do better. I'm expecting the Patriots to be big movers. And I know one of the feasters, Mike Swenson, who's a big Bills man, is not happy about this free agency period. He thought he had the division all to himself, but the Patriots are coming for them. The Bucks signed Shaq Barrett. He was the big star from the last season's Super Bowl win. Multi-year deal. They also franchise tagged Chris Godwin, the wide receiver, and they restructured Brady's deal to free up a bit of money to keep the band together and try and go again. Packers, your boys. Aaron Jones, 4-year deal.
48.
Good signing.
Yeah, the money, I reckon there was more out there for him. He would have got more, so he probably wanted to stay around for the right reasons and hang around with Rodgers. And hopefully they draft well this year.
Yeah, a wide receiver perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Can I just backtrack for 1 minute? You mentioned the Patriots. Jonnu Smith is massive for them. He came from Tennessee. He deserves more targets, and I think he'll be a top 5 tight end in the NFL this year.
Hunter Henry was the other one I didn't mention by name that they signed. He came from the Chargers,
LA Chargers. He's a good player as well. So the 2 tight end set there, Cam obviously, short dink and dump type stuff will be good for them.
And when Cam had his best season at the Panthers, he had Greg Olsen,
who had a very good season that year as well. And obviously the most recent one was AJ Green, ex-Cincinnati, moving to Arizona. So that means on one side you got AJ Green, and then on the other one you got DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, it's a legit tandem, isn't it? The other big signing happened yesterday. Left tackle for the 49ers, Trent Williams. He stays on a 6-year, $138 million contract.
That is a lot of money.
Do you know why it's even more? Do you know how old he is? He's 33 next season.
Yeah, wow.
So in his last year, he'll be 38. So that's huge money for a 32-year-old. Let's get into the golf, Richard. A quick one here. The PGA Tour stays in Florida for the Honda Classic at the PGA National Players Course. It's a weaker field this week after back-to-back strong fields for the Arnold Palmer and the Players. Next week's the match play, so all those guys probably resting up in time for that. Defending champions Korean Sungjae Im, I tipped him earlier in the year. He's played well last week at the Players too, had a top 20 finish. Daniel Berger withdraws today. He was the favourite. He had a rib injury. Now Im's the favourite. Do you have a tip?
A rib injury in golf?
Yeah, I don't know how you get that swinging too hard.
I was going to say the torque, the waist. No, I got nothing.
The Tatis Jr.
I haven't even looked. It's an irrelevant comp for me.
It's irrelevant without speaking.
I care about the big ones.
Fair enough. I'll get to something and take it to the bank, but my tip will be the favourite, Im. No surprises there. Scotty as well. He won in 2016, I believe, so hopefully he does well. Too short to take for best Aussie. I think he was $2. EPL and A-League news, Richard.
Yeah, so obviously, before I get there, Champions League review of the midweek. There was a few teams who were knocked out. So in the Champions League, we say farewell to Atletico Madrid. Chelsea took care of them. Tommy T wins again, still undefeated. Yeah. Bayern Munich took care of Lazio. In the other 2 games, Manchester City took care of Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Real Madrid took care of Atalanta. So that was the Champions League. The draw for the next round will take place a little bit later on. They simply draw 2 teams out of a hat, 2 legs, and you go from there. In terms of the EPL, it's a little bit of a hit and miss round because we've got a number of FA Cup fixtures. So from an EPL perspective, there's some very important fixtures. Arsenal play West Ham on Monday. That's a massive one because obviously Arsenal just beat Spurs. West Ham didn't play too well against Manchester United last start, so they need to rebound from there. Tottenham travel to Aston Villa. $2.20 their price is. They need to get full points there after dropping that against Arsenal. Brighton play Newcastle. That's an important game for Brighton. They do have a decent record against Newcastle as well. And Fulham play Leeds. Just a little fun one for you. Paddy Bamford scores for fun, not only on a Friday England time, but also against Fulham. So if you're looking for a little play around the traps there, Patrick Bamford from Leeds to score against Fulham. I do expect a few goals either way in that type of game there. In terms of the A-League, the Raw can't win at the moment. So to say, safe to
say, and they got off to a flyer too.
Yeah, they started really well. Safe to say their fixture against Wellington Phoenix this weekend is of paramount importance. I have tipped a draw in that game. Wellington Phoenix is going all right. They are on the short turnaround after losing a goal fest against West Sydney Wanderers, 4-3 there. The other big game for me is Western Sydney Wanderers, who won that game against the Phoenix, playing against Perth Glory.
So are they on a short turnaround as well then?
Yes, so they'll be on a short turnaround in comparison to Perth, who played on Sunday in that game. So yeah, it's a tricky week. Again, though, we keep talking about it. It's just simply a case of accumulating as many points as possible. That West Sydney Wanderers game against Perth is actually Friday night. So that's a very short turnaround. West Sydney Wanderers do have depth, though. So that's going to be important for them. The other games of note, Sydney FC play Melbourne Victory. This used to be a massive game, but Melbourne Victory suck at the moment.
Yeah.
Macarthur play Western United, and Newcastle Jets play Adelaide. And probably a match of the round, Melbourne City play Central Coast.
Yeah,
so that's, in my eyes, the top two teams going around. That's in Melbourne City, so I'm curious to see how Central Coast go and can they keep these performances going.
Good stuff, Richard. Also in football news, we are getting some merch together to give away in a promo. So stay tuned for that. We'll announce it next week. So all you soccer fans or football fans out there, if you're interested in some free gear, stay tuned to the Sporting Feast, the socials, Facebook and Instagram.
This is interesting. I don't even know about this.
No, you don't. A friend of the Feast has contacted me and is providing some merch. So we'll announce it next week.
So
Richard.
You're having meetings behind my back?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting free goods behind your back, and I'm trying, and I just don't want to announce it until I have the goods in my hand. They're coming from overseas, Richard.
Lovely. That's awesome. Well done, mate. Kudos to you. Nice to know you're pulling your weight.
I'm trying. I'm doing more than you know, Richard. You've got some basketball information for us.
Well, not so much information, just a bit of a preview of the weekend ahead as well as a review of what happened midweek. Dame Lillard against New Orleans Pelicans. He does it again.
Dame time.
He went off for 50. If you ever want a guy in the fourth quarter when your team's down playing for you, it's Damian Lillard.
I wonder why it is. Like, why is he? What's he slugging for 3 quarters and then he just decides to deliver?
I don't think so. He does make a point of trying to get other players involved. Now, CJ McCollum did return for Portland, which is an important one, so they're going to be difficult to match up with moving forward. He does a really good job of getting involved. And obviously you got Carmelo, you have Enes Kanter. When everyone returns,
Melo's role's been increased while those guys have been out, so he'll go back to the 6 unit there.
Dame Lillard, yeah, he's awesome. The other thing I wanted to talk about is probably the 2 matches of the weekend. I just want to get a tip from you. We spoke about Portland. Portland play Dallas, so Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, Team Euroball. Where are you going there? Dallas beat Portland.
Home team.
Portland. Yep. Portland it is.
I'll take Portland.
And the other game, and I'm interested to see how you go here, the Lakers on the road to the Hawkies. Atlanta Hawks on Sunday.
Lakers. They've been fantastic, even without AD. LeBron's been carrying them there. Too much for the Hawks.
That'll be a good game.
Did we get any feedback from Vanders about what I said in the last episode?
Yeah, he said, thanks for giving us a shout out. Go Hawkies, we win again.
Okay.
So I was very happy at the moment. They just knocked over Houston. So he's up and about at the moment. In terms of the NBL, obviously earlier this week, news broke of Mitch Creek and his off the court actions, I guess you could say, or potentially, some troubles going on there. So I can't see him playing for a while. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
The NBL have ruled him out until the court case, which is in April.
Yeah, so that's essentially a large period of time. They play Adelaide on Saturday, who got Brendan Paul, who's an import who has replaced their importer who left earlier in the year. This is a big test for them. I'm not sure how you replace your leading scorer, your leading rebounder, your leading assist player when Kiefer Sykes is already out. So that's going to be a big challenge for them. Obviously means more minutes for their 3-4 guys. So that's Ryan Brokoff. That is Ruben Tarangi, which is probably an issue for them. But they've still got a few pieces. Kyle Adams been fantastic for them since he's been getting more minutes. So that's a big test for them. Big game this weekend is Kings v Melbourne United. That's on Friday. Two really well-drilled teams. The biggest thing for Sydney Kings is can they win the half-court battle? They score for fun when it's an up-and-down type game, but Melbourne's defence is very clinical and they've got a number of players who can guard a variety of positions, but also a variety of spots on the floor there. So I did speak to Hamo, and Hamo has tipped Melbourne United in that fixture. We'll also get to hear Hamo's thoughts on the Brisbane Broncos because he's one of probably the last few die-hard true blue Brisbane Broncos
no, there's
fans.
plenty out there. They're just hiding at the moment.
They're hiding. Now, last comment from me in regards to the NBL. So Lamar Patterson won't be playing for still a few more weeks because he's recovering from injury. So the Bullets have signed, or I guess a replacement player, Dr. Roboto. He played in QBL. He has played in QBL for the last few seasons up north at the Sunshine Coast. Very good player. I'm not sure how much time he'll get, if any time, but he'll fill that role there. The other news is, in terms of New Zealand, they did sign Jeremy Kendall, who used to play for the Bullets, but they also signed a gentleman called Will McDowell-White, son of Darryl White, ex-Brisbane Lions midfielder.
Darryl White. Okay. He was part of the Fab 4-5.
Yeah, part of the Fab 4-5. Will McDowell-White's played in a number of leagues. He's very strong for Redlands in the most recent state basketball league, and he's a Brisbane junior who can shoot the ball, and he's quite tall for his position.
Might have some hops.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. And New Zealand played Brisbane on Saturday night, and we spoke about that scheduling part. I forgot to mention the Queensland Reds play the Force at the same time. So It's all happening in Brisbane this Saturday night.
Speaking of the Reds Force game, I'll be going to that one, so I can give a first-hand account next week, which is timely because on Monday we're recording a very special episode, released Tuesday, with superstar former Wallaby James Horwell. So Feasters, if you haven't heard that, we're doing a special rugby episode on Tuesday. It'll come to you, talking all things rugby, and we'll get an idea of the state of the game according to an ex-Wallaby and see if he's got any grabs for us or anything of that ilk.
I think and intellect. So obviously he's been kicking goals in terms of his studies over in England, and I've got a few left field questions for him as well. So we don't want to have that generic interview because you can find that on YouTube, and I found a few on YouTube when I was doing some research. I seriously think I know more about him than his wife probably does, based on all the information I have read up on. And if you do have any questions for James Horwell Feasters, please write into info@thesportingfeast or touch base with us via Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Maybe that's a question we can pose. Who knows more about you, Richard King or Lauren, your wife?
We'll see what happens.
So we'll go a little easy on the rugby tonight, so we'll do a quick preview, but we'll get to the bulk of that next episode. So Rebels v Waratahs Friday night, Amy Park. Rebels heavy favourites here, and for good reason. They went down narrowly to the Brumbies and Reds in consecutive weeks and then beat the Force on the road in WA. That's a big win, even though the Force didn't really take their chances. The Tars have struggled all season, and I think that continues.
Question for you. Over-under, 33.5 points the Rebels score.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I'm going to say under because while the Tars aren't very good, traditionally Australian teams, when they play each other, have low-scoring games. Yeah. Although I thought last week would be unders for the Brumbies, 2 weeks ago with the Brumbies, Reds, and it went way overs.
Except that one time as well when ACT played the Waratahs and beat them by 723 points.
Yeah.
But and remember, this game obviously is a Rebels home game, so that's on Friday night. Reds Force, big game. The weather in Brisbane this week has been horrendous at best.
Yeah, it's been drizzly.
A bit of a dour affair there.
That's Suncorp Stadium, 6:45 on Saturday. The Reds, with their big comeback victory over the Brumbies last week, they are now looking like the favourites. I think the Brumbies and the Reds have really separated themselves from the other sides. The Force could have won last week, as we mentioned in that game. They didn't take their penalty shots. That could be a leadership problem or just their game style. This is tricky by the margin. I think the bookies margin is about 12.5. I've got the Reds by 15.
Depending on the weather, Reds were really good last week. Biggest question is this a hangover? Who knows?
Yeah, the set piece is really strong, so I'd expect them to do a bit of damage there. Just quickly on Six Nations, Scotland are hosting Italy. I expect Scotland to win there. Ireland hosting England. Richard, your boys?
England, God save the Queen.
Okay, they got it done late last week, but they did get it done.
It was a little too late for my liking.
And this is the big one. France hosting Wales. Have you seen the market here?
Yes.
Interesting. I don't get it. Wales minus plus 7.5, so France $1.32 favourites.
Have you been talking to our cricket expert, Patrick Collins?
No.
He's given me about 5 text messages throughout the week going, I can't believe this price. The line is too big. And just to add to what he's talking about, I've just had a look. So the previous results, in Wales, France by 4. In Wales, Wales by 1. In France, Wales by 5. In Wales, Wales by 1. In France, France by 2. In Wales, Wales by 9. So you're getting 8.5 start in a pretty important game.
I don't get it. Wales are undefeated in the Six Nations this year. France have to win and pretty much secure a bonus point, and all Wales have to do is get a bonus point. So I'd imagine any chance they get, they'll be taking the 3, as you love.
Danny Biggar as well. He loves the 3.
Keep ticking that scoreboard over, and they really don't care, provided they don't get blown out. It's pretty much a Six Nations win, no matter what the score.
But you want to win too.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they're a good side. So the plus 7.5, I'm going to tip Wales, actually.
Yeah, I've already tipped them.
Because the further the game gets beyond France, the more desperate they'll get, and they might start chasing. And
that's the thing. The hardest part is where you're throwing the ball around. You make errors based off that, and hopefully Wales will park the bus and then go back. The
Frenchies are a good side though, young and mobile, we'll call them. But the time zones make it hard to watch those games. But if you can feast this, that should be a good one. Let's get into the NRL preview, Richard. Week 2.
Jennings around Manu. Jennings beats another. Jennings pick up Simo. Simo trampled. Tedesco. Micah Simo. Call an ambulance. Maybe call a priest.
You've got a poll question that we put up during the week.
Yeah, so on Tuesday we asked the feasters, should Joseph Suaalii be free to play now? This was based off the NRL granting exemption to Joseph Suaalii because he's not 18 yet, so he's still 17, and the NRL granted it. Feedback, 45% of feasters said yes, it should be play on, 55% no. Thoughts, Scobes?
Well, I was in the no camp purely because the rule is there. If you're under 18, you can't play. But my actual position on should he be able to play, yes, he should. That rule shouldn't exist. If you're 16 and good enough, you should play. And you'll get found out if you're not, and you'll be in the reserves the next week.
I couldn't agree more. And, if a player's good enough, why not let him play? And however, in saying that, the playing devil's advocate, obviously, questions are what happens if he gets hurt? He's playing against men. But again, he's played now 2 games. He played one in New South Wales Cup in round 1, and he played a preseason game as well. And I dare say he's done plenty of training. Yeah. So
is he allowed to play New South Wales Cup?
Yes.
Yeah, but he's still playing against men down there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand it, but that's an interesting result. Pretty much split down the middle.
He was playing in that game where your mate who got red carded or sent off, Matt Ikuvalu, was he was playing in that game last week. Yeah,
he was. Okay, Richard, time for our preview. Broncos Titans, 7:05 p.m. Friday night at Cbus. A big game here.
Well, it's the derby, isn't it? And when we talk about these two teams, it's a case of last week, the Broncos, if you want to talk about expectations, the Broncos probably exceeded expectations. And the Titans did not, one bit.
Definitely not.
And they probably fizzed a little bit. In terms of team news, probably the biggest news out of the 21 squads is no Brian Kelly for Gold Coast. Now, he's a massive out for the Titans, in my opinion. His ability to beat his defender and create chances makes him, and has made him over the past, very dangerous. In saying that, though, the Titans can replace him with a guy like Philip Sammy. So the one thing the Titans haven't had over the last few years is squad depth. So, a move like that speaks volumes for me. Just going through the key positions for both sides. We'll start with the home team, the Titans. So you got Rain at 9, Tino at 13. I'm not even going to have a crack.
Have a crack, mate. We're all.
You're better at this than I am.
Not really.
Go.
I tried to practice.
Keep pressure.
This
You
one.
go first.
For Suaalii.
You're close. Yeah.
You're killing me.
Let's just call him Big Tino. You've got Taylor and Fogarty 6-7 and AJ Brimson at the 1. For the Broncos, we've got Jake Turpin at the 9, Paddy Carrigan at the 13. You've got Croft and Milf in the 6-7, and you've got Jermaine Asako at the 1 spot. In terms of stats between these two, the Titans have won 4 of the last 6 clashes, but again, obviously a lot's changed in the Broncos setup over that period of time. I guess from a spectacle last week, David Mead was quite the impressive performance from him. So he had 191 run carry meters last week, and he out carried and in terms of metres, Baldy, Blake Ferguson, and Sibo.
He got over it this week, though. So his try-scoring drought, this is Ferguson I'm talking about here. He went about 13 games without a try last year. So
and
at
I'm
least
pretty
he got
sure
over
it's his
early.
birthday this weekend as well.
Oh, right.
They've got the Storm, so we'll see what happens there. Fan zone, entering the fan zone. I was able to, when I was talking NBL with Matt Hamilton-Smith, our basketball whisperer, I asked him about the Broncos. As I said, he's probably one of the last true, honest, genuine Broncos fans. Now, when I say that, that's not a crack at Broncos fans. It's a crack that he's just still open and he's still hoping for a turnaround. It's interesting. He doesn't think he's tipped Titans by 8, but when I was talking to him, his thinking is that Broncos will be up at some stage, and the question mark is how long can they hold Gold Coast out for? And it's going to be that style of game, and we see this in every code. But the longer they're in front for, the more nervous Gold Coast will get because, again, the weight of expectation and how poor they were last week.
And the harder the Broncos will dig in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, from my perspective, Broncos will be competitive. I think Kevy Walters is, you know what you're going to expect from Kevy. Did the Titans drop the ball last week, metaphorically, as well as literally? Yes. But for me, I just think they've got a little bit too much class, and that comes from AJ Brimson. I expect him to stand out a little bit more.
He was a little quiet.
Yeah,
last
in
week.
the back 20s of games. But in saying that, you're always going to be quiet when you can't get any momentum. Both sides last week, obviously in the second half of games, were a little bit flat. I have tipped the Titans by 10, but honestly, this is a must-win game for the Titans.
You ready for this, Richard?
Yes.
Upset.
Broncos.
I'm tipping an upset in this one, purely because I think the Broncos are sick of hearing about the Titans being on the rise and them being wooden spooners. I think, as you said, they've been getting off to good starts. Even last year in their drought, they were having good starts leading at halftime and falling away. I'm guessing Kevy Walters would address that fitness issue over the summer. I think lots of the Broncos players won't appreciate Fafita moving down the road. They'll aim up at him. I just got a feeling it's going to be upset. I was going through my tips, and when I did my tips before, I had every favourite, and I was like, does every favourite happen? No, so I've picked the best outsider, and I really do think there's an upset on the cards. If Milford can rekindle any part of his best season, he's a really dominant player. He just hasn't been able to find it, so I'm thinking he might be able to have a crack there, and they just think they can get it done.
Interesting. Now, turn our attention to the second game we're previewing. We're taking our talents up north to North Queensland Cowboys, and they're playing the Dragons. Now, Scobes, big news, Mr. Tamalolo.
Yeah, huge. I just finished my notes, and then Tamalolo is out with a broken hand, I believe.
Yeah, done for a month. Who are you going there?
Tricky. This is tricky is what it is, because you got both sides who are expected to be down the bottom of the ladder. I actually had the Cowboys in my 8. They played the Panthers last week, which is not a great sample because, as we both previewed, the Panthers are a seriously good side. So 6:35 Saturday night, Queensland Country Bank Stadium in North Queensland. Cowboys same 1-17, no changes there. For the Dragons, only one change. Corey Norman comes in at 6, sending Adam Clune out of the 17, not even to the bench. Poor guy. Did something wrong. A couple of key stats here, mate. Record 4-4 in the last 8 matches between these sides. However, the Cowboys have won 6 of their last 7 in Townsville. They also scored no points last week, but as I said that, 2 reasons. 1, they're playing the Panthers, and 2, their completion rate was 59%. That's about as low as it gets at a professional level. The Dragons have only won 3 of their last 10 away from home in 2020.
Do you believe in that kind of the hoodoo type stuff on the road like that when you're not winning many games?
Yeah, well, yes, because it's harder to win on the road, obviously, but it's even harder for poor sides to win at home. So when a game like this comes up, both sides who are expected to be down the bottom ladder, they need to bank these games at home. Just going to the fan zone, I contacted Matty Zanis. He's a big Dragons man, and he gave me his fan zone information, but that was before Tamalolo was out. He still thought the Saints were overs. That he's worried about the average record in Townsville, and he was expecting Tamalolo to have a big game, but that doesn't matter anymore. For me, it's too small a sample size to really dig your heels in either way here. After 2 weeks, I think you'll get a better guide. The Cowboys played the Panthers last week, who are guns. The Dragons played the Sharks, who will probably be pushing for that 7-8 spot. So they don't. I think that helps the Cowboys. They're coming off a really stiff game. Home ground. See, I'm reading my notes that don't exist anymore because of Suaalii. He's such a big key player and he was set for a big game. I'm going to stick with the Cowboys home ground, and that's the only real reason.
I've got them as well. I expect Scott Drinkwater to back up and step up a little bit. They need him at 1 to be doing a lot better than what he is at the moment. Just decision making, but that also stems from go forward. Fullbacks can only chime in when you got the ball and when you're on the attack. So I do expect a big game from Scott Drinkwater.
And that's the same with the halves. They can only do it when the forwards are going forward, which is why Milford has been struggling at the Broncos. Quick tip in the other games. This will have already taken place for Eels Storm.
I went Melbourne.
Yeah, I'm with the Storm too. Warriors Knights.
I went with Newcastle.
I'm with the Knights too. These are all favourites, Richard. Bulldogs and Panthers.
Penrith.
I'm with the Panthers. Seagulls, Rabbits.
Souths.
Rabbits as well. A lot of waysides here. Maybe the Sporting Feast is on the move. West Tigers and Roosters.
Roosters.
I'm with them as well. And Sharks, Raiders.
Raiders.
Yep. I'm with them as well. They're away, so you've got every single favourite.
Yes.
Except for the Cowboys.
No, Cowboys are favourites.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I went the Cowboys, in that game.
I wonder if they're still favourites with Tamalalo out. But
they will be.
All the favourites there. Let's get into the AFL, Richard. Round 1.
Cox throws it onto the left. One last roll of the dice for the Eagles. Leo Barry-Eustace.
You excited?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully it's everything that everyone wants it to be. Now, at the moment, Scobes, I will provide updates, but I can confirm, unfortunately, there is no team lists out at the moment. So we were hoping there were team lists by the time we recorded, but they haven't come out yet. I'm sorry, Feasters. So please bear with us. In terms of, actually, the team list for the game I'm previewing, just unlucky for you.
Yeah, that's all right.
So, Feasters, we're going to go through 2 big games. Scobes, GWS versus St Kilda is on Saturday, and I'll lead us off because I got Collingwood v the Western Bulldogs. And the big news out of this game is Jason Johannesson has not made the cut for the Western Bulldogs, which obviously is a premiership player, was very good on that grand final day a very long time ago. Just running through the teams from Collingwood: Maynard, Roughhead, Magden, Chris Moore, Howe. That's quite a good top back 6 for them. Through the middle, we got Noble, Pendles, Brown, and following Grundy, Adams, and DeGoey. DeGoey being listed in the midfield is a big one for me. Half forward, Jamie Elliott, Myercheck, Hosking Elliott. Forward, Dacos, Cox, Thomas. And then the interchanges, Henry, Quaynor, Rusco, and Sierra. Now for the Doggies: Williams, Gardner, Daniel, Daru, Keith, Scott. Centres, Lipinski, Treloar, Hunter. Followers, Martin, McRae, Libber. Up front, we've got Smith, Norton, Dunkley, and then we've got English, Bruce, and Bontempelli. Interchange, Dale, McNeil, Mitchie Wallace, and Vandermeer.
Wallace on the bench.
Yeah, huge.
I mean, he'll get on and probably stay on, but it's strange starting your best small forward on the bench.
So there's a number of headlines out of this game, Scobes. Treloar v Collingwood.
Yes.
That's the big one, obviously. But I'll tell you what, I saw a press conference of Nathan Buckley midweek. He looks exhausted. And it's only March.
It's been an off-season from hell.
It has, but he just, I don't know what it is, but poor bugger just looks like he's had 3 hours sleep straight for the last 6 months. It's like he's got a newborn.
Sad, yeah.
And the other part is, the last time these two played last year in round 1, it was shortened quarters, and the Pies beat them by 52.
Yeah, it was a hammering.
Now, in terms of the preseason performances, I know we shouldn't read into too much to preseason, but I just thought I'd mention it because of a lot of the guns did play for both sides. Richmond beat Collingwood by 6, and that was a tight game. In terms of Collingwood there, DeGoey had 27. So obviously playing through the middle, Chris, DeGoey, Pendlebury, all 20s there. Maynard had 20 as well. But the big one I want to talk about is the Western Bulldogs. So think about these stats. So they beat the Melbourne Demons by 39. Scopes, how's this for one? So the disposals, McRae 39, Daniel 34, Bontempelli 32, Dunkley 32, Liberatore 31, Lockie Hunter 27. As a team, they had 419 disposals to Melbourne's 304. Now, in saying that, the kick-to-handball ratio, we always talk about that, it was on the low side. So it was 225 kicks, 194 handballs. So obviously they're going to be a high-used team. But here's the big one. Scoring shots. They had 31 scoring shots.
It's a lot. They're going to get a lot of shots this year just because of how good their midfield is. And we mentioned that in the AFL preview. It's whether their forwards can kick the goals.
Yeah, and that's the big one for me. Speaking of forwards and kick goals, I just don't know if Collingwood have enough points in them. Very good back 6, but with the extended quarters, you're going to have to score between 80 and 100 points. 80 or more to to win AFL games now.
And there's only so many times your back six will hold up if the ball's just coming in after time after time after time. It's something will fold.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're going to get the supply too, which we just spoke about. The other big matchup for me is, we'll match up the 2v1, Steph Martin and Timmy English versus Brodie Grundy. Brodie Grundy last season at the back end looked like a guy who needed a long break. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was the short turnaround, but he wasn't as effective as what we used to be. Maybe it was the short quarters because he is used as an extra midfielder and he does get on top late in quarters. Maybe. I'm just spitballing here. But obviously a big rebound for him. Steph Martin gets to go back to Victoria after a long stint with the Lions. I got the Doggies too good here. I got them by 2 goals.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't agree. I think the Dogs...
Can't agree more?
Yeah, can't agree more. Did I say can't agree?
Yes.
Yep, can't agree with you more. The Dogs will be too good. I didn't underestimate how good their midfield is, but the more we've done the previews and the more we think about it, they're just going to be almost unstoppable because the game is won in the midfield. So I've got the Dogs.
And over to you, my friend, GWS St Kilda.
Sunday, 2:20, Giants Stadium. Giants coach Leon Cameron signed an extension last year, and they haven't even played a game. I feel like he's already under pressure just because the Giants have sort of regressed in since they made the grand final against the Tigers, where they were completely hammered. Last time they played, the Saints pumped the Giants by 52, round 18 last year. Giants had nothing to play for, so probably don't read into that too much. The Saints were looking to try and get into 5th or 6th there. Once Richard's already said, no team news, apologies, but the major injuries for the Saints, I'll just mention those. These guys will not be playing. Ryder, Marshall, James Frawley's out for 6 to 8 weeks, Geary's out, Hannabury's out for 1, King's out for 3, and Brad Couch suspended. I can't remember what he did, but he obviously did something.
Adelaide, well, put it like this, he never got the ball because they never had it, so he was doing a lot of tackling.
Someone off the man.
Yeah.
So 7 of the best 22 out, that's going to be hard to cover. I think they get most of those back in the first 3 weeks, so that will help them out. For the Giants, Jesse Hogan's out 1 to 2 weeks. Kennedy's got a long-term injury. That's Adam Kennedy. Bruce has got 16 weeks on the sidelines or thereabouts, and Riccardi and Whitfield are out for extended periods. So there's some pretty key players there also out. The key area for the game for me is the ruck contest. You've got Matt Flynn. Leon Cameron's already confirmed he's making his debut for the Giants, so congratulations to him. That's after 5 years at the club. So he came in as a youngster and has been battling away, toiling away. Along with Shane Mumford, I imagine he'll play as well. So the Giants hold the key because you've got Ryder and Marshall who are both out for the Saints. And that leaves Sean McKernan and Paul Hunter. I don't know a great deal about them. I know Sean McKernan's a recruit to the Saints this year. Ex-Bomber, I believe.
Yeah, ex-Bomber. He's been around the traps and very good contested mark up front. Obviously, he'll have to roll up the sleeves and do a bit of a ruck job there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the ruck plays out across the whole season. In the pre-season, because of this new boundary rule, the new marking rule, teams are going to the corridor a little bit more, 30% less boundary throw-ins in the pre-season than in previous pre-seasons. So the ruck tap work might not be as important, so maybe Grundy and those players who pick up more possessions around the park will have a bigger influence. We talked about the Giants forward line in our AFL season preview. Who's going to stand up? Finlayson, Himmelberg, Toby Green are going to get the brunt of the work. Tanner Braun makes his debut this week, so he's going to be up forward and hopefully looking to make an impact. Too many outs for me for the Saints. It's really hard to get an idea of how they're going to play with so many injuries for both sides and being round 1. I don't think people really show their best hand in the preseason. And I heard an interesting point on one of the AFL talkback shows this week. I don't think the coaches would have really showed how they're going to defend this man on the mark stuff. So look for that to be an interesting piece throughout the course of round 1. Anyway, too many outs for the Saints. Giants at home. I just think they've got enough talent to get it done. I've got the Giants in a tight one. Maybe 6 points.
I went the Giants. And also, we need to bring this up. Matt De Boer.
Oh, yeah, De Boer's in there.
Goes to Steele.
Yes.
Yep. So
he's not fast enough to run with Hill, so he's got to go to Steele.
Yeah, well, obviously Billings, but Billings probably plays it too far forward. So I expect him to go with Steele and do a job.
I deliberately didn't mention De Boer because I knew that you couldn't get through a 40-minute Giants preview without mentioning
Well, I have
him.
to. Yeah, and one thing, though, I know it's pre-season. Saners did put up 125. They are young and fast and they will run, but GWS have prided themselves on that. Yes, they play a bit more slingshot footy, but 2 pretty quick teams, so it should be a good one.
And the Saints got a hold of the Blues in the pre-season, and they're all about they're about the same skill level as the Giants, so maybe it could repeat, but I'm just with the Giants.
Yeah, at home. I agree.
Other games we'll tip quickly. Tigers and Blues, which has probably already started. Do not tell me the score. I'm watching on delay.
It's P. Cribs, end of... Mate, seriously, 1 minute in. P. Cribs, ACL. No.
What are you doing? You know it's his birthday today.
Kidding. I've gone Richmond by 4 goals.
I have also tipped the Tigers. D's and Dockers.
Melbourne by 3 goals.
I sat on this for a while because once again I went through all my AFL tips and I was on every favourite, but I just have to lean towards the D's. Crows and Cats.
By how many?
Yep.
60? Like, how many will they put on?
Crows are at home, so maybe that helps them out a little.
59?
Yeah.
They're going to... And Crouch is out.
You never know, round one. You don't know what... As I said, you don't know what's happened in the
They
preseason.
suck.
I mean, I suppose the longer quarters could sting the bottom
that's
sides.
another 20 minutes. They're going to get carved up. And Danger returns back, obviously.
That's true. We're both with the Cats. Bombers and Hawks. This game's a
tricky
coin flip.
game. Yeah, I've gone Essendon with no confidence at all.
I think I might have gone Essendon too. For the
interesting.
purposes of this, I'll say I went Essendon, but I can't remember what I did on the Sporting Feast tipping comp. So Feasters, if you
away teams, you would have had to. Oh, you yourself,
yeah, but me
sorry.
personally, yeah. And it's underdogs, not away teams.
Sorry.
Yep. So Feasters, if you aren't part of the tipping comp, go to our socials. There's links there. Get involved. Prizes to be won. Lions and Swans.
Brisbane by, and you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
I'm changing this year. I'm not going to be so negative. I'm going to be
Against the
honest.
Swans. Yeah. Okay.
Brisbane, it's going to be a bit wet. So the Swannies shouldn't get belted.
That'll suit the Swans.
That's what I'm saying.
Scrappy footy.
It shouldn't be as bad as what I think it will
Numbers at the contest.
be. Yeah, and we've got a legit ruck this year. So I'm glad Callum Sinclair won't be playing.
So Swans by, I said.
No, I've got Brisbane by 4.5 goals. By 27 points.
If it's wet, it's definitely going to be tighter than that. But I'm with the Lions. North and Port.
Port Adelaide.
By a country mile.
No, I don't. North.
Really?
Yeah. Who wins by more? Geelong or Port?
Port.
Yeah, I'm
For
going
me,
Adelaide.
I'm definitely Port.
Geelong.
Okay, and Eagles at home to hosting the Suns.
West Coast by not as much as what you think.
Okay.
No
West
one wants-
Coast by more than you think.
15. Mate, I've Gold Coast. It's round one. They'll run a big ground. Matty Rao. So, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay. I think, do we tip all the same then?
Probably. Mate, that's weird.
That's concerning too. That's
it's
very
like
concerning.
Twilight Zone.
All right, Richard, let's get into some Group 1 horse racing.
Yes, 2 big races. Oh, there's a few, obviously, there's a fair few races, but I thought...
We've only got time for 2,
Yes,
Richard.
I know. So I thought we'd talk about the Slipper and the Ramvet. How's this for a stat, though? Only one time in the last 40 years has the Blue Diamond winner won the Slipper.
Oh, really? Why didn't you bring to me this earlier?
Courtsa winning in 1989, and that was a very important year.
I have a feeling it's going to be 2 in 41.
Well, it was a very important year because that's when Richard King entered the world. So 1989, there you go. Long time ago.
Did you say 30 or 40 years?
40. That can't be right.
Richard King entered the world 40 years. What did you do for the first 10 years?
No. In the last 40
Oh,
years.
in the
I'm not
last
saying
40.
that was the 40th year, you muppet. Yeah. Oh, mate, you put me on the spot. No. Anyway, moving on.
Yes, get on with it. Golden Slipper, world's richest 2-year-old race.
And it's
going to
be wet. Have you seen the forecast?
Yeah, big forecast. At
Heavy. And just in another race there, Jungle Edge goes around. That horse loves the wet.
Loves it.
DeRose on board. 4 moves ahead's the obvious choice and has one on soft and heavy. Bossy's got a decent mount.
Who's he on?
President.
What?
It's one on heavy before. Don't worry, I'm not tipping it.
All right.
But this is the one that I'm going to throw out a left field tip. And the Feasters would know this horse because in order to get into the Slipper, it had to win last start. And I'm hoping there was a few Feasters on it because it was my value play.
Oh, here we go.
Kalishnikov. Now, just a little home run hit here. Side by Capitalist, who won the Slipper back in 2016. So could history repeat? Mark Zara goes on board. And at the price, 61s. That's a
Big
lot.
odds. It's got a low draw, I think.
Yes, very low. Ingratiated. This you could put your hand on any, but Smokey outside home run pick Kalishnikov, and for me ingratiating and 4 moves ahead.
Fair enough. Profiteer, the favourite there, looks pretty hard to beat. I'll give you my tipping. Take it to the
Fair
bank,
enough.
Richard.
And the Ramvet, is this not just the perfect definition of Thorpe v Hackett for those in the 2000 Olympics?
It's not a bad comparison, especially in the wet.
Yeah.
Well done, Richard. Look at you.
Very elegant versus, how do you say it?
A Dabe,
Yeah,
I think it is.
And that's Aussie Tom, Marquin.
Yeah, Aussie Tom, yeah.
He loves it. So this will be a good race. I don't know. Flip a coin.
So this is, this is 2,000 metres on weight for age at Randwick, only a 5-horse field.
So essentially, Very Elegant's going to peel off. From the back, Adib is going to...
I think he'll sit... Adib will lead, and I think Very Elegant will sit closer.
Who wins?
Very Elegant.
I'm going Aussie Tom.
Turning the tables here.
There is a 2 kilo difference, which could play a roll down the back.
Yeah, but it's weight for age.
Yeah.
So the stallion, or the male versus females, as they call it. Richard.
Brendan.
Take it to the bank. Let me fire away.
Okay. You want to? You never? Okay.
Yeah, we need to change it up. We went 0 for 4.
Yep.
I'm back at the golf, Richard.
Okay.
And I have to apologise to the Feasters again. I do this regularly. I don't want to be in the AFL and NRL this early in the season. I think I need more of a sample size, more of a body of work, as you like, Richard.
Fair.
Before I start really diving in there. So back at the PGA Tour, the Honda Classic. This is our points bet, this one. Winner of Group C. I'll take Chris Kirk.
Who's in there?
He is with Cameron Davis, Cameron Tringali, and Brendan Steele. So not really big names. As we said in the golf earlier, weak field. So you're going to get a few other types popping up. Tied for 48 at the Players last week, but he was third going into the final round out of +7. Absolute stinker, Chris Kirk. 3 shots, he's third in the field this week. Shots gained tee to green, and that's on the whole tour. So that's gonna hold up, I think. And he has 3 of his last 5 tournaments. He's finished in the top 20, all in far stronger fields. I think he's only got to beat 3 players, and this price is $3.55. I think that's good value, even though it's my best.
Lovely.
Chris Kirk.
All right, I'm going to the horse racing. Eagle Farm this week. Race 9, number 3, Slow Hands. Good song as well, by the way. This is a 1600. Niall Horan.
Oh, I was surprised you know that.
Yes. Oh, mate, he's a good singer. Very good man. It's a Class 3. Slow Hands will peel off from the back. Now, I have done the wet form, so I essentially think it'll be a soft, if you're asking me to try and be Nostradamus. 14 starts on soft, 3 wins, 2 seconds, 4 thirds, so essentially 9 placings from 14 starts, with Brad Stewart riding, 1 start, 1 win. At Eagle Farm, 10 starts for 7 placings. I'm not going to tell you how many times it won because it's a bagel. At 1600, 8 starts, 2 wins, 3 seconds, 1 third.
This guy's like Tom Melvin.
Yeah, essentially. And track and distance,
or Tony Finau.
Well, this track and distance justifies it. 2 starts.
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it'll come up from the back. It's third up, in which it's had 4 starts, a second and a third. You're getting $3 the place. So that's my best of the week. That's race 9, number 3. Have a little bit on it to win as well at the $8.50 quote. But I'm going with the place. This is where you tee off because I've gone the place.
No, I'm not going to tee off. I'm just going to tell the Feasters Richard has a long and storied history of tipping things to place and then them coming out to win. And then when he tips them to the win, they don't finish the race.
Yeah, yeah.
So have a look at that. Value play, Richard. I'm back at the Slipper. Rosehill, race 7, number 3, Artorius. You went through all the form pretty much before. I'll just add to that. The Blue Diamond winner, I didn't know that stat.
Sorry, friend.
Going into it. But look, I'm just going to stick with it. He won that Blue Diamond in devastating fashion. He does miss the kick. So if you're watching the race on Saturday, expect it to miss the kick. The trainers know that. They want it to settle just off midfield. And if it does that, can peel to the outside, I'm expecting with the wet, the track to be off. And on that, if it is a heavy or a very soft, all the favourites are drawn 2, 3, 4, like the in the market favourites. So I think it'll be help the runners to be drawn off the track. Same prep as it had leading the Blue Diamond, 4 weeks off into the race, first up in essentially. So $11, I think it's value.
Nice. My value is in the Swans Lions game. Again, I'm predicting a wet game, and not to mention, obviously, everyone knows the Gabba drains really well, but we are still expecting a little bit more rain for the rest of the week. I am going Lukey Parker, number 26, for the Sydney Swans to kick 2 goals or more. $6.50 is a ridiculous price. If you look at his historical data against the Lions, it's quite good. He's playing a little bit more forward now with the young fellas from the Swans going through the middle, and he is a very good contested mark and not a bad kick as well. I do expect him to have at least 3 scoring shots, so we need to go 2 goals, 1. He did kick 3 in the preseason game against GWS. He kicked 2 last year against the Lions in a wet game up in Cairns. So I'm taking Luke Parker, $6.50, 2 goals or more. If you want to play it safe and for him just to kick a goal, it's $2 evens.
That's all we have time for, Richard. Just remember, Feasters, Tuesday's episode is going to be a rugby dominant special with our guest, former Wallaby captain. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be a fun one on Monday. Feasters, have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Ciao for now.
Stay hungry.